They say that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but the first time I saw Cuphead and all its eye-popping, hand-drawn glory, I knew it was a game that I wanted to play, and I finally got to, just in time, for the delicious Last Course DLC. For all its razzle-dazzle animation and ragtime musical score, there's a real intelligence to Cuphead and its notoriously difficult side-scrolling, run-and-gun gameplay. It's a game composed entirely of boss fights, and nothing in between, except for the 6 run-and-gun levels that test the maneuverability of the most seasoned veterans of the genre. Cuphead isn't much for words, instead telling a story through stop motion, a narrative developing from clues, as the boss battles evolve and all manners of absurdity. Every progressive stage of these fights reveals something about the game's lore for those that are keen enough to pay close attention. In that sense, Cuphead is truly like a classic cartoon or a silent film where each picture is worth 1,000 words. Every boss is something to marvel at for how they look and feel to play against. The foes and their backdrops are curated like paintings in a museum, designed with painstaking care and every frame done by hand, that just gives you a deeper appreciation of what Studio MDHR have done in creating one of the greatest indie games ever made. Cuphead's cartoon charm contrasts perfectly with the hysterics of its boss battles, full of great slams and then some. These are some of the most annoying enemies that I've ever encountered in video games, maniacally taunting the player through their theatrics and their non-stop projectile spam. And that, of course, makes them some of the most satisfying bosses to wallop. Almost every encounter is brief, designed to be approached like a speedrun with little room for error, though only lasting 2 minutes or less on average. Every Cuphead level feels like an epic knockout drag-out brawl, requiring split-second reaction times and thinking several steps ahead like chess. With only 3 starting HP for Cuphead and Mugman, and an invisible health meter for the boss, Cuphead is a sweaty war of attrition, wit, and dexterity, with tons of replay value, as you go for A+ and S ranks on regular and expert modes. The fact that every level starts and ends with a boss is such a refreshing way to present a challenging video game, because the developers knew players would be dying a lot, and so they wanted them to be able to get right back into the heat of battle with no delay. I experienced a moment that I'm relieved and grateful for. When going for my platinum trophy on expert mode, I killed Wally Warbles in the last second, almost choking away my 5 HP that I safeguarded until the end of the level, only to die to Wally anyway, but still get the credit for knocking his ass out. Other games would have penalized you for dying, making you restart from scratch even though you technically did what you had to do to win. Cuphead understands that it's enough just getting to the final phase of a boss, let alone closing the deal. The developers really understood the principles of design in addition to making the game look as pretty as a picture. Cuphead makes extensive use of iframes to avoid hits, such as dashing with the smoke bomb equipped or shrinking the hitbox down when in plane mode. There's the parry mechanic, testing a player's timing and muscle memory, with a slightly different time window in every instance. The necessary audio-visual cues that signal an incoming attack are spot on to accompany the virtuoso animation that would make cartoonists of the 1930s proud. Cuphead is a great game, a 9 out of 10, a true love letter to classic animation, cartoons, and video games alike. Games as refreshing as Cuphead, especially when developed from such a small team, don't come around very often. To that, we can only raise a glass.